up, Taiwan? I'm Louise with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's presidential candidates are fighting over alleged election interference by China, sparking questions about where their loyalties lie. Tiffany Wong brings us the latest from the campaign trail.
Painting each other red. Taiwan's three presidential candidates are butting heads on one of the most contentious topics, election interference from China, and what that might mean for Taiwan's future. At their individual rallies this week, two of the candidates took aim at the Kuomintang's Hou You-yi, whose party typically promotes more friendly relations with Beijing, calling him a communist. Lai Ching-te of the ruling Democratic Progressive Party and current vice president of Taiwan said the election was a vote between giving in to Chinese authoritarianism and protecting Taiwan's democratic system.
要粉碎中国介入这场选举最好的手段就是中国支持谁，这个人绝对不能够让他当选，否则的话，台湾的民主就荡然无存。我们的选总统就好像在选特首一般。
From a motorcade rally, former Taipei Mayor Ko Wen-je of the Taiwan People's Party also accused the KMT's Ho of making deals with China.
我只是问他说，为什么中共对你这么好，还要替你做假民调，还把这民调做那种高的假民调，奇怪，为什么会整个台商系统在替你募款嘛？我非常清楚嘛，那个国台办没有点头同意，大陆台商哪里敢动？
But during his own motorcade rally, Ho defended himself and criticized the DPP for starting a red scare.
我反对境外介入台湾民主自由的选举，但是民进党不要常常制造大家的恐慌，尤其制造不实的消息，也不要去抹红别人。
With the election just over a week away, authorities say campaigns will be tightly monitored for signs of foreign interference, and voters will be paying close attention too, as they consider who they think can best manage Taiwan's relations with China and protect their country's interests. Dolphine Chen and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan says it will share its experiences of China's attempts to interfere in its elections. Foreign Minister Joseph Wu says China has been making unprecedented efforts to meddle in Taiwan's democratic process. He says this includes military and economic pressure. China has said Taiwan's upcoming elections are a choice between war and peace. In an article for British media outlet The Economist, Wu said China is trying to influence swing voters. He says Taiwan will publish its analysis of Chinese interference after the election to help other countries combat authoritarian powers. China has wrapped up patrols in the South China Sea just days after appointing a new defense minister. The patrols took place while US and Philippine forces held drills nearby. They follow the recent appointment of Admiral Dong Jun as China's defense minister. Dong is the first naval official to lead the country's military. His appointment comes as China steps up military activity in the South China Sea and in waters around Taiwan. Cross-strait relations are in the spotlight as Taiwan's presidential election approaches. To better understand what voters think, our reporter Sandy Chi is traveling around the country to hear the voice of the people.
和谐，我们要的和谐，再来就是和平，不要有战争，在我们的期望，对这个这次的选举。
I always think that the situation has been like this for decades, right? So the thing we have to do is to be confident to do whatever we have been doing and try to make it more solid. For example, our military, national defense, and also economy. Like you can see that whatever we have been doing has been great.
其实中国跟我们一样啦，我们华人都是喜欢和平、安定、稳定。 所以我觉得中共它的任何动作对我们台湾是没有影响，而且我也不觉得说这未来50年会有什么独立啦、统一这些问题，我觉得都不存在。
中国的因素也会多少会，我也是觉得是要和平，就是不要发生战争了，对我们台湾的未来是 就是不希望有战争的风险了，希望看哪一组候选人发生战争的风险会比较小一点的啦。
两岸的情形就是已经是存在一个很久的既定议题了，就是本来就是应该是执政政府应该去协调这个部分，所以我觉得不管是哪一任政府上任，这件事情都应该是朝一个稳定、安全，然后国家经济发展都可以双向发展的情况下去进行的。
两岸关系好像数十年来都比较维持现状，所以这点我倒不怕，因为这次选完就有什么重大的改变。
As Taiwan prepares to go to the polls, labor groups are warning employers not to stop workers from exercising their democratic rights and to pay them accordingly. Louise explains.
Voting for Taiwan's next national leaders. It's a right a huge number of Taiwanese people take very seriously. But what happens when employees need to work on election day? Taiwan's Labour Standards Act designates election day as a holiday. That means workers are entitled to extra pay if they clock in, though employers must let workers go out to vote if they want to. Voters will go to the polls on a Saturday this year, which, depending on what kind of job you do, may or may not be a work day. According to the Labour Ministry, if election day falls on an employee's working day, employers must pay double wages for every hour worked, except for the hours the employees take to go and vote. They'll get paid their usual rate for that time. If election day is on a rest day, employers must pay workers according to the usual overtime rules laid out in the Labour Standards Act. Employees will get an extra third on top of their hourly rate for the first 2 hours, and an extra 2/3 for any hours worked after that. The rules are a little complicated, enough to cause problems for one supermarket in New Taipei, where an employee asked for leave on election day. The company later asked the worker to take unpaid personal leave and was fined over $1,200 US.
事假是可以扣薪水的，可是其实请事假不应该在那一天出现请事假这个情况，请特休也一样，因为他那天就是不用上班的，就根本就不需要再请特休或者请事假。
After the incident, a representative from a labor group sent a stern warning to companies.
台湾已经民主化了，而且那么多次的投票了，所以雇主不应该以身试法，而且应该尊重每一个劳工他投票的这样的权利。
With just over a week until election day, authorities and labour groups are hoping that companies can help uphold their employees' basic right to vote. Justin Wu and Rees for TaiwanPlus.
In international news, nearly 100 people have been killed in a twin bombing in Iran during a ceremony to commemorate a slain general. The blasts injured hundreds visiting the burial site of Qasem Soleimani, who was killed in a US drone strike 4 years ago. Iranian officials are calling the twin bombing a terror attack. No group has claimed responsibility, but Iran's president took aim at Israel, saying it will pay a heavy price. Iran backs several militant groups that have targeted Israel during its assault on Gaza. Another Israeli hostage in Gaza has been declared dead. The Israeli military announced that Sahir Baruch died during rescue efforts last month, but they say they don't know if he was killed by his captors or Israeli fire. Baruch was one of 240 hostages taken by Hamas militants on October the 7th. More than 100 hostages have been released. 23 have been declared dead. At least 3 of them were killed by Israeli forces in mid-December. Gaza has been under bombardment for nearly 3 months, with over 22,000 people reported killed. Japan says one of the planes involved in a collision at a Tokyo airport was not cleared for takeoff. The collision happened between a Japan Airlines Airbus and a smaller Coast Guard plane. All 379 passengers aboard the Airbus evacuated safely, but 5 people on the Coast Guard plane died. That plane was part of rescue efforts after a magnitude 7.6 earthquake hit western Japan. Japanese rescuers are racing to find survivors of that earthquake. Their work comes amid forecasts of heavy rain and low temperatures. The quake hit on New Year's Day, killing 65 people and triggering tsunami warnings, fires and aftershocks. Japan's government says more than 31,000 people are in shelters and tens of thousands of homes have been destroyed. Rescue efforts are focused on the western coastal cities of Ishikawa Prefecture. To find out more about how the region copes with earthquakes, Sally Jensen spoke to earthquake expert Wu Zuo-ren from Taiwan's National Central University.
The aftermath of Japan's recent earthquake has been fairly minimal, and it's had experts saying that it demonstrates Japan's resilience. Would Taiwan survive a similar scale tremor?
We have a notorious earthquake. We call it GG earthquake. And the earthquake magnitude was 7.4. And this time, the Japan earthquake was 7.6. So we know that the GG earthquake actually damaged Taiwan a lot, and more than 2,000 people died in that event. But I have to say, currently, the law, the regulation says that the new buildings has to satisfy the new regulation, which has to can be survived under like a GG earthquake, which is very close to Japan earthquake. So I think if the earthquake happened in Taiwan, basically the damage will be much limited.
Is it true that earthquakes happen in cycles? And when is Taiwan due for another major earthquake?
I used to use the two hands. Okay, if one tectonic submerged to the other one, then we can feel that for this one, we can feel like there's that kind of friction, vibration. This vibration has has a frequency. Then we can picture that this earthquake also has a frequency. So based on the popular knowledge about the return period, like Japan, that kind of earthquake, the return period will be in between 20 to 40 years.
Why wasn't there a tsunami as big as originally reported? Does Taiwan also get tsunamis, and how can people stay safe?
Taiwan does have tsunamis. Just recently, we don't have so many large tsunamis. We will try to use the worst case scenario to generate the tsunami scenario. So that's why for this kind of short period of tsunami early warning, usually the warning height of tsunami height will be bigger than the real observation tsunami. So that's why Japan says 5 meters, but actually they only have about 1 meter. So I would say if really you got the tsunami warning, then please just go to the roof of your building. The roof might be the 3rd floor, might be the 4th floor, or even higher. Then you'll be safe.
That was earthquake expert Wu Zuo-ren speaking with Sally Jensen. Taiwan is getting ready to release its Chinese zodiac coins for the Year of the Dragon. The sets of commemorative coins will cost just over $60 and will be available for pre-order next week. Just 90,000 sets will be minted. The dragon is the most powerful sign in the Chinese zodiac and is associated with good luck and prosperity. That means this year's coins are likely to sell out quick. Colourful Mandarin ducks, rarely seen in Taiwan, have been spotted in the centre of the country. 11 of the migratory ducks are nesting in a forest recreation area in Nantou County. Local officials say the protected birds are wintering there, and there are twice as many as last year. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we'll transport you to an annual wrestling tournament in Niger. I'm Louise Watt. Take care, and I'll see you next time.